Well, the thing is that white squirrels get picked off by the hawks because they're very easy to see. So I don't think there's been one since the one that was hit over on Highland. So the one that was hit on Highland is now stuffed in the ESAT building. I'm Karen DeVinney, and I'm running for District 3. District 3 runs, it has the major oldest neighborhoods in Denton. So we've got Denia, Southridge, and then north up to Elm, where Elm kind of goes diagonally over to 35. So that's the North Lakes neighborhood, West Oak neighborhood, north of West Oak, the Pecan neighborhood. It's got what I think are the most interesting neighborhoods in Denton. They're the older ones. I am retired. Let me give you a little bit of background, actually. I grew up in Michigan, and anybody who's grown up in Michigan will go like this and say, I was born right there. I was born in Bay City, same hospital as Madonna a few years earlier, but went to junior high and high school in Midland. I went to college in Boston University. I got a double major English and history. Came back to Michigan for my grad work. I did a master's and PhD at University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And that's where I met my husband, David Holdeman. He's a professor at UNT, and when he was offered that job, we moved down to Denton. That was in 1992. So I've been in Denton for since then, 33 years. And we first lived in a rental on Parkway, and then we bought our house when our second child was born on West Oak. So I've been in D3 since we've moved here. The borders of D3 have moved a little bit, but when I was living on Parkway, it was part of the same district. So when we moved into the house on West Oak, the city was in the process of, or was thinking about rezoning. And so this opened up the opportunity for somebody to get an apartment complex approved in the middle of a single family neighborhood. So this proposal was for an apartment complex right next to my house. And keep in mind, these are all single family homes. And this would be what used to be called spot zoning. I'm not sure that spot zoning is illegal anymore, but it would have been one apartment complex in the middle of single-family homes. So we were all pretty outraged. I was, because it was right next to my house. But that was the first, my first experience with neighborhood activism. So we sharpened our pitchforks. We went to the torch store, and we showed up at a lot of meetings, and eventually we got that project stopped, and then we went on to get historic district. And so I'm a big believer in historic districts. They are what's called an overlay to the existing zoning, and they give you extra layer of protection to things that don't fit in your neighborhood. The older Silk Stocking Row Historic District is farther east from us, and that was established 10 years before mine was. And that sort of set the model for ours. They had the same issues. They had apartment complexes coming in and being threatened for these gorgeous Queen Anne houses. I am horrified by all the trees being bulldozed. After I retired from UNT, I got certified as a master naturalist. I'm out at Clear Creek a lot. I kind of specialize in birds, but I'm also a big lover of trees, and trees in Denton are not replaceable. They are not replaceable. Post oaks are not plantable by humans. You have to hire squirrels, basically. We don't know why, but the post oak is one of the core species in Denton, and it's not especially replaceable. So I do Meals on Wheels, and I'm driving out on the east side of town a lot, and that is where a lot of construction is going in. Big apartment complexes, or actually there's a big complex of townhomes going in too on Lattimore, I think it is. And they're just bulldozing the trees. And this is because our tree ordinance is very weak. You can buy your way out of it. You can bulldoze stands of trees and just pay into the tree mitigation fund. It's a cost of doing business.
You say while the exhaust is pouring onto all these.
Actually, a lot of those are electric, so yeah. I don't know about that one, but so I was sort of horrified by that. So that got added to my concern and alarm at all the apartment complexes, really big, sort of poorly designed apartment complexes that were going in. Now I know we need affordable housing, although actually a friend of mine who worked for the affordable housing or part of City Council in McKinney says that Denton has a lot more affordable housing than McKinney does, and McKinney is $50,000 or 50,000 population larger. So Denton is pulling its weight, I think, in affordable housing. That's federally defined affordable housing in Denton. We have more than our neighbors. So, we do want that United Way study that said that 40% of citizens in Denton couldn't afford housing. That's concerning to everybody, and we do need to work on that. But the answer is not going to be these huge apartment complexes that are going to degrade in 10 years. So first of all, I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say roads, and that's not because they're not very important. Obviously, we drive on the roads, we drive on the streets, we want them to be safe. The reason they're not a priority is because we don't need advocates on City Council for roads. Nobody's going to go in front of City Council and say, I want unsafe streets. Please give me a permit to create an unsafe street. The Federal Highway Administration has inches of manuals you can consult if you want to have safe streets. It's already kind of been figured out. And Denton is pretty good at being responsive to citizens' needs for safe streets. So I am going to say the three things that do need an advocate on City Council. The first is we need to strengthen our tree ordinance. Like I said, you can buy your way out of it, and those are resources that are not replaceable. Also green space. Gary Packin, the director of parks, has said that we're banking land. They have more land than they can really create parks from. So I'm going to suggest why don't we just leave the land alone and have a few wild spaces in Denton. That's free. If you're not putting in trails and playgrounds, it's free. So I'm fine with banking land. We could also have a tree bank. We could have a prairie restoration. Keep in mind that Denton is the western third of Denton is naturally prairie. So why don't we do some prairie restoration? It actually sequesters more carbon per acre than forests. So green space, tree ordinance. The second thing is that has to do with my concern for neighborhoods. The zoning categories, the zoning map, the future land use map, all those things are in place, and we recently revised all of those. So what I would like to see more of is some small area plans, more historic districts, more conservation districts, more things that are overlays so that we can get further protections over existing neighborhoods. Right now, it's too easy to go in and get a variance on the existing zoning. It's very hard to get a variance if there's a small area plan in place or a historic district in place. I think we need to start preserving our existing housing stock and our interesting neighborhoods. And we've already got zoning in place, so we need something on top of that. The third thing is homelessness. Again, as with affordable housing, Denton is kind of pulling more than its fair share of the weight of homelessness in the county. When I do the point in time count every year, and the numbers that come out of that, they haven't issued the most recent numbers yet. There's a big reveal in May, I think. But Denton just has hundreds and hundreds more homeless people who show up on that count than Flower Mound, Louisville, any of the other towns in Denton. And whether they're coming up here or whether they're getting bused up here, there's different theories. We need some help from other cities in the county, and we need help from the county. We are pulling more than our fair share of weight. What does the help look like? Well, we need wraparound services. We need some housing. There's 2 proposals for tiny home villages in the works right now, looking for funding and looking to break ground. One is near Crum, but within Denton city limits, and the other is by Ryan High School. So obviously get some housing in place, but they also need services. People don't become homeless usually just because housing is expensive. They have family issues, they might be fleeing domestic violence, there might be some addiction issues, there might be some mental health issues, there might be all 3. You've got to treat those things to really help people who are experiencing homelessness. So those are my 3. It's not that I don't think other things are important, it's just that those are the 3 things that I will advocate if I'm on council. How am I different from others? I differ from Susie and Margie because I've been a neighborhood activist for 20 years and a lot longer than they have. I've been involved in a lot of different boards and commissions, Public Utilities Board, Historic Landmark, Traffic Safety, a couple of bond commissions. I just have a much wider range of experience in city politics. And I've really been an activist that whole time. After we got Historic District, I ran the Denton Neighborhood Alliance candidate forums. Pretty fascinating. I stopped doing that because then I started supporting a specific candidate, and it wasn't quite fair to do that. And I think those forums died out after a couple more years because there wasn't anybody who had the time to take it over. But the Denton Neighborhood Alliance is still around. There's a Facebook page, and it's meant as a collection of neighborhood groups so that if one group says, oh my goodness, they want to rezone this lot for multifamily and they want to put in 5 stories, some other neighborhood in Denton has gone through that before and can give them some help. It's meant to be a kind of forum. And that's still around, and I'm the administrator of that Facebook page. Also the West Oak area Historic District Facebook page. So I continue to be involved in neighborhood stuff. Right now, because we've got Historic District, there have not been any egregious threats to us. Thank goodness. I mean, sort of that monstrosity on Normal Street, we had to help out with, but my actual neighborhood is kind of safe. That's why I want to encourage historic districts. Preserve existing neighborhoods, make them so you can get some business done without getting in your car. Don't just build a whole bunch of, if I can say, butt ugly, big apartment complexes. We don't need them, and they are going to be eyesores. So I mean, maybe we need to go back to Rise of the Creative Class and just think about what makes something livable, and What makes a place someplace where you want to raise your kids, or you want to grow old, or you want to live there. You want to be there. Okay, my website is DeVinneyForDenton.com. My Facebook is Karen DeVinney for Denton, and my campaign email is DeVinneyForDenton@gmail.com. So you see the pattern there. With a name like Karen, I was, when I first announced this, I was really surprised. Somebody immediately played that card. Oh, you're such a Karen. Like, really? That's all you got? That's what you're going to throw at me? But I think DeVinney for Denton has a nice alliteration to it. So.